You ever meet someone who's technically right about everything, but you still kinda hate being around them? That's Mace Windu. The guy could duel a Sith, read your mind, and win a war all before breakfast, but still couldn't be bothered to say a kind word to literally anyone. He's like if a laser pointer had a superiority complex and a bad attitude. The man treated Anakin like a malfunctioning protocol droid from day one. Every time Anakin opened his mouth, Mace just gave him that, "I don't trust you," looked like he already had his funeral speech ready. He wasn't even subtle about it. He straight up told the guy he wasn't worthy of being a master, while standing 10 feet from a literal child with a mullet. Real class act. And don't get me started on Dooku. They used to train together, spar, meditate, maybe even share a calf once in a while. But the moment Dooku said, "Hey, maybe the Republic's a little corrupt," Mace just swapped him out for the next council seat warmer and called it loyalty. No questions, no conversations, just Jedi ghosting on a galactic scale. Mace Windu treated compassion like it was some kind of dark side virus. The man could sense the Force shifting across entire systems, but somehow couldn't detect basic human emotion in the people next to him. He was the Jedi equivalent of a brick wall that occasionally swings a lightsaber. Powerful, but not exactly the guy you want giving a toast at your wedding. And yet, he wasn't evil. That's the twist. He was trying, desperately, to hold the Jedi together with duct tape and moral rigidity, while the galaxy unraveled like cheap robes in a wind tunnel. He really thought being the strongest and the strictest was the only way to keep the light from going out. He just didn't realize that sometimes strength looks like kindness, not control. In this video, we're breaking down the contradiction that is Mace Windu, how he became one of the most legendary Jedi of all time, while also being one of the worst people to stand next to in a hallway. We're diving into the choices, the attitudes, the emotional brick walls that turned him into a cautionary tale wrapped in Jedi robes. Because sometimes the greatest heroes leave behind the coldest legacies. Let's be honest. Mace Windu has always been one of the most fascinating Jedi in the entire Star Wars universe. The guy was a powerhouse with a purple lightsaber and a scowl that could cut through steel. He mastered Vopid, a fighting style that flirted with the dark side like it was some forbidden dance. And he made it to the Jedi Council's top seat, like it was just another Tuesday. But under all that calm and discipline, you start to notice something weird. Why does Mace feel so unapproachable? Why does every conversation with him sound like a job interview mixed with a warning? You watch him talk to Anakin, and it's never warm, never kind, never even a hint of trust. Just judgment wrapped in passive aggression. It makes you wonder if the Jedi are supposed to be peacekeepers, defenders, role models even. Then why does Windu always act like he's one sarcastic eyebrow raise away from issuing a court-martial? He's like the Jedi version of that teacher who gives you detention for breathing too loudly. Sure, he's powerful, but would you ever actually want to hang out with him? And that's where the contradiction kicks in. Mace Windu was a flawless Jedi on paper. Strong, disciplined, loyal. But if you look past the checklist, what's actually there? Is this a man of virtue or just a guy who buried every human instinct under a mountain of Jedi protocol? So the big question is this. Can you be a great Jedi and still be a terrible person underneath all the robes and rules? Watching Mace Windu operate is like watching someone who's technically right, but emotionally tone-deaf. He walks into every situation like he's already decided who's guilty, who's stupid, and who's wasting his time. And it's exhausting. You don't get the sense that he leads with wisdom. You get the sense that he leads with condescension. Take his relationship with Anakin. Every single interaction between them feels like Mace is just waiting for Anakin to slip up, so he can say, "I told you so." No warmth, no mentorship, just a Jedi Council-sized wall between them. And people wonder why Anakin snapped. Mace didn't just mistrust him, he broadcasted it with every word, every look, every decision. And when Palpatine finally gets exposed, what does Windu do? He marches in with 3 Jedi, gives Anakin the Jedi version of "you're not invited," and then acts shocked when things go sideways. It's like, dude, you just told the most emotionally unstable chosen one that you don't trust him. Again, in the middle of the biggest crisis in galactic history. There's something deeply sad about how isolated Mace Windu really was. He sat at the heart of the Jedi Order, but never felt like part of it. Always apart, always distant. Like he'd spent so long perfecting discipline that he forgot how to connect with actual people, not students, not fellow masters people. You never see him laugh, you never see him relax. He doesn't have a close bond with any member of the Council, not Yoda, not Obi-Wan, not even his own Padawan if he ever had one. He's just alone. A stoic symbol of Jedi strength that forgot what that strength was supposed to protect in the first place. And then there's the way he dealt with loss. When Jedi were dying in droves during the Clone Wars, Mace never showed grief, never showed reflection, Just more business, more missions, more stoicism. It's like he thought vulnerability would crack the mask he'd spent his whole life building. And in doing so, he missed the real cost of the war. Even Dooku's former friend left the Order in protest, and Mace never once looked inward. Never said maybe he had a point. He just shut the door tighter. And when it all came crashing down, he was the one who got thrown out a window. Not just physically, but metaphorically too. Windu died exactly how he lived. Isolated, misunderstood, and still clinging to a code that never returned the favor. And yet, you have to respect him. Mace Windu stood as one of the greatest lightsaber duelists in Jedi history. He invented a fighting style that rode the edge of darkness, and somehow didn't fall in. That's not just impressive, it's legendary. He wasn't just strong, he was deliberate, focused, unshakably committed to his cause. He faced off against Palpatine, the literal embodiment of evil, and he didn't blink, he was winning. Holding his own against the Dark Lord of the Sith, while half the galaxy was still trying to figure out who the bad guy even was. That's not just skill, that's clarity of purpose, on a whole other level. There's a reason Sidious feared him. There's a reason Anakin had to step in to stop him. Because Windu wasn't going to hesitate. He wasn't going to moralize or debate. He was going to end the Sith threat with one stroke. No second chances. No monologues. Just action. In that moment, Windu wasn't cold or cruel, he was fire. The exact kind of fire the galaxy needed to survive. If he had finished that swing, everything might have changed. The Jedi might have endured. The war might have ended. But fate had other plans. Even if he lacked emotional warmth, you can't deny that Mace Windu was built different. A singular force of nature in a world unraveling at the seams. But maybe there's still something we can learn from him. Because even if Mace Windu fell short as a person, he was trying to be the ideal Jedi in a time when ideals were crumbling. He was holding the line, trying to keep order while everything else bent or broke. Maybe that's why he was so rigid. Because he saw how far the galaxy had drifted. Maybe he didn't know how to be soft without letting everything fall apart. Maybe, deep down, he thought compassion would get him killed faster than any lightsaber. But what if Jedi strength didn't have to mean emotional distance? What if real power wasn't just about discipline, but about connection? That's the Jedi we saw in Qui-Gon and Ahsoka, in Luke later on. People who fought not just for peace, but for people. Windu might not have known how to do that, but others did. And maybe that's the hope moving forward. That the Order can learn from its most flawed champions and become something better in the next generation. Because if the Jedi are going to survive, they can't just be warriors. They have to be human again. In the end, Mace Windu was everything the Jedi claimed to value. Strong, brave, loyal, unwavering. But he was also everything they failed to confront. Cold, dismissive, emotionally unavailable. A man so devoted to the rules that he forgot the reasons they existed in the first place. He wasn't evil, he wasn't selfish, but he was deeply disconnected from the people around him. And in a galaxy falling apart, that kind of detachment wasn't noble, it was dangerous. Anakin didn't just need a Jedi master. He needed someone who believed in him, and Windu couldn't do it. His legacy is complicated. He was a hero, a warrior, a symbol of Jedi power at its peak. But he was also a man who left others out in the cold, who confused strength with silence, and lost the chance to make a real difference when it counted most. The tragedy of Mace Windu isn't that he died. It's that no one really mourned him. Because by the time he fell, the people who might have grieved were already gone, or broken, or lost. And maybe that's the real cost of perfection. You stand so tall, you forget how to reach out. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider looking at my pinned comment and checking out the links for my Amazon storefront. It contains my favorite Legos, my gear in which I make videos, and comics that I read on a daily basis. I update it constantly, so please, take a moment and click on the link. On top of that, check out my second channel, Critical Analysis Hub Plus, and my third channel, Critical Analysis Hub XP. Just one click would go on a long way in supporting my channels and future in YouTube.